All right, Brian. Well, I think you definitely got me beat on the setup because I don't know how you got such a clear picture. The camera I'm working with isn't going to give it, but I did manage to bring a awesome dagger. It is real. Watch out. And so that can just sit there and remind everybody that no matter how much more talented you are than I am scarier than you are, right? And trying to look, I mean, it looks good, right? It's okay. Doesn't look quite like yours. But so here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that we should just go back and forth like this as we continue to try to define what is the essence of Everbook so that other people can understand it and begin adopting the practice if they actually want to save tons of time and actually be clear in their thoughts, be able to do things like a weekly review in an hour in which you cover all the gamut, track all your projects, do that kind of stuff that getting things done, what David Allen talks about doing, doing what day planners are always promising you can do, doing what other analog systems would like to be able to do. But to do that, people have to know what this thing is. So here's my Everbook. Brian's is a little bit nicer because he's got these inner flaps. I'll show you that in just a moment. Maybe that won't work over there. We'll put that over there. Mine's just a old cover from a journal. It's real leather that I really loved. I just ripped the journal right out of there, and I took a headband that my wife bought for me, and that is what is used to hold this thing together. So the whole point of the Everbook is it's just this piece of whatever you can find. Use some toilet paper or something, well, not toilet paper, tinfoil, to wrap and keep your modules, your bundles. I should have bundles. That's what we want to call them. All right. So mine's a little bit different than Brian. But the trick is, as we've talked about this, is we have ways we've adopted the system that are unique to us and are valuable to us. And we like sharing those, but there's something underneath that is totally customizable. And that's what we really want to get down to figuring out. How do we help you the first time you hear about this, particularly jump right in on that idea? So we know this much. We know you need a cover that keeps modules in it. Modules are folded sheets of paper that act sort of like file folders in a folder drawer. So if you can imagine you have your file folder drawer in your home and you've got a bunch of different files there. Those are your modules. And you can have as many of these as you like. That's what's nice about this is you can actually you can customize your modules endlessly. So we'll come back to that in just a second, but the key to this is now, imagine the difference between this, whatever I have in these things, and I'll talk about kind of the general idea in a moment, but the difference between this and this. This is my previous bullet journal, and I'll flip through there, and you can see, look, I colored stuff, I drew stuff, there's some private stuff in there, so I'm not going to go through all of it, but here's the thing, right? So whatever I did on the front couple of pages, what if it's not that useful? What if I'm tired of trying to find it? What if I decide the thing that I put on the back cover, which I actually keep some things, used to keep things on the back cover that I wanted to get to often. What if I decided I wanted that on the front cover? Here's the thing with this. Watch this. It's incredible. You can move the pages in your journal. So first thing, Everbook, it's a journal that you make for yourself that's totally customizable, and it's got modular pages. It's got pages you can take out without ripping the whole thing. It's got pages you can replace. It's got pages that you can move around wherever you want them to go. So that's like the chief idea, at least so far as I'm concerned. So then you also have this ability to distinguish between your pages. You have chunks and sections. And so one page belongs somewhere, one set of pages belong somewhere. And eventually you have certain chunks that really become mandatory for getting things done / time management. Now, maybe if you're not a business manager, a pastor, an entrepreneur, getting things done style isn't for you, but I want to guarantee you that one way or the other, you can apply this same idea to yourself. So here's what we think is absolutely at the basic. So you have to have with you some folder, some bundle that has blank paper in it. Brian has a different kind than I do. We're working on developing one that would be kind of standard for helping people out, a template you can download with Everbook on it. And this is not our official logo here or whatnot, but what you need is something that when you open it up, you have your basic page. For me, I prefer to just work with half sheets. Brian likes the whole sheet, which he'll then fold over. I don't use that much space. I like clean pages, so I'm constantly throwing out stuff and replacing it with new pages. So I just want half sheets. If you want to try this out at home, don't worry about having anything on the page. Just go and get a bunch of normal pieces of paper, fold them in half or cut them in half, and then set them inside of a bundle, one piece that is totally folded over. You got to do that to create your bundle, right? And we've got There's a template here for keeping track of what's on it and so forth. But the big idea, fold over a piece of paper, put blank pieces of paper inside of it. Here's a couple of those extra bundle covers for myself. We can talk about that more later. First big idea, you need some blank paper. You need it to be easily foldable and or cut already to fit inside your journal cover, right? Blank bundle. Second, you need something to catch junk, right? This is, I call it briefcase. You can call it whatever you want, call it inbox. You need a bundle which allows you to take any piece of paper that anybody hands you and put it inside. And you know, later that day or the next week when you're doing your weekly review, you're going to go through this at least once a week. If you don't go through it ever, you are kind of wasting your time. You got to go through it at least once a week, and you know you're not going to lose that piece of paper. So if I have a note I need to take to the office, if I got a Post-it note someone's given me I don't want to forget about, if I got an idea and I got to jot it down on a Post-it note. You can see I actually keep Post-it notes inside of mine. I'll throw that inside of here, and then that way it's always available. So this is like your junk file. But don't think of it as junk though. That's wrong. This is your loose leaf carrying thing. But this should not be a permanent storage place for many things. I think I do have it as a permanent storage place for my annual calendar, which that's a later piece. A pretty cool tool, but not necessarily mandatory for the Everbook concept. So you need an inbox, you need blank pages. Then you need a workstation of some kind. Brian and I are still working with what this means, but for me personally, this is where all my to-do lists for the week go. I like trying to follow getting things done, have them broken down into contexts. So studio, that's where I am right now. Internet, I gotta have internet access. Ticklers, like later in the week, don't forget about it. Out and about. The point is, this is your to-do list. All the Post-it notes that you're making that are constantly kind of piling up everywhere, but you really want to get them done this week, that should be going into this bundle. It's better to do it than on a Post-it note. Do it on a blank piece of paper, right? And you have endless blank pieces of papers to shove in there. And at the end of the week, if you haven't gotten through all of your lists, you're not a getting things done person, but you're a list person, you haven't gone through all your lists, you just pull out one more blank piece of paper, take your 4 lists, congeal them into one, and it's back into your workstation. You might even be able to turn the cover into the actual control bundle, the workstation itself, if you like. You'll notice I also throw a sticky note on here. If there's something I really don't want to forget by the end of the week, I'll throw that thing on here. Oh, look how pious I am. Matthew 6, Daniel 4, and then double checking my Sasa sources. I must be an amazing pastor. Okay, and then the other thing you're going to need somehow, some way, if you want to make use of this at least as a time management tool, is a projects list. Now, Brian and I take this very differently, but I find this incredibly valuable. So everything that's a project is defined by David Allen to be taking more than one step to complete. It's probably not fair. Things that take 2 or 3 steps maybe don't get in here, but anything that's going to take me more than a week to complete gets its own new loose leaf page in here. I would say, what do we got here? Maybe 40 different projects. Even if I'm not going to do a whole bundle of lists and things to make that project happen, but I know I want to get it done and I don't want to forget about it. It'll take me a week or more, and I may not get to it this week. I take a sheet. I take one of my blank sheets. Where are they? Here we go. And up in the upper left right-hand corner, I'll write down the name of the project, and then I sort it. This is so key. I sort it alphabetically in here. That way, if I want to go find host circuit conference, oh, look, let's go find this here. I am so lucky that I get to give up my Tuesday in a little bit to host a circuit conference. There it is. Look, I got to have 11:45. I don't know if you can read that from where it is. 11:45, Lord's Supper, 1 p.m. lunch, 2 p.m. study, 2:45 business, and I got to figure out how to make that all work at our local place. So everything that I don't want to forget that takes less than a week, that takes more than a week, ends up in your project bundle. I also then have a tickler file. I have several of these actually. This is just my monthly. I have a quarterly. I have an annual. The idea with the tickler file is you know that it's dated in such a way that you will find it again in the future, and that way you can forget about it for now because it's going to come back someday. So with my monthly tickler file, if I have one of these projects that's in here and I'm like, I want to get to this someday in my life. I'd like to get to it this year, right? But it's not going to happen this month at all. And in my weekly review, when I'm going back through this once a week, I do this about once a week. I'm like, oh, I'm tired of looking at that right now. I just can't get to it. Oh, look, I throw it here. And then once a month, I flip through here and I'm like, okay, what page from my journal, here's core principle, right? What page from my journal comes out of my tickler file and drops into the project section of my journal, which just sits wherever I need it to be in my Everbook. So I also keep with myself, Brian doesn't do this, but I love this. I use this all the time because it actually has the right size paper that I can jot a note down and then just throw it into my briefcase if I need to, right? This beautiful little Docket Cold, what do you call it? Notepad. It's great. I keep my pen in there, easy to get to, and then again, wrap it up tight, and I am ready to go. But check this out. It's so cool that you don't have to use it for time management. Oh, look at that guy. That guy's got a sword and he's kind of buff. I want to be that guy. Yeah. So this is my Dungeons & Dragons Everbook. It's not complete in that not everything that I do when I game master Dungeons & Dragons goes into this book, but quite a bit of it does. Pencil and eraser. Notepads are stuck in here and some things. But what I have here, I'm running one campaign, Dragon Heist, for a couple of guys. I'm running another campaign calling Tales from Waterdeep, although it's technically the Yawning Portal, but I'm reskinning it for my kids. Both my campaigns with all the resources I need. So tonight I'm actually DMing, so there's a lot in here. All the resources I need to hand out. If I know that we might have a chase scene, I got the chase rules in here. If I know that we might have, we're keeping an inn, I got those rules in here, but they can come out and go into a reference file. Oh, look at that. So I don't keep them in this one all the time. I keep them in my reference file, right? And then this is, I'm not really doing this as much, but these are for tracking fights and whatnot. So I'm still kind of adjusting this, but you can hopefully, right there, what that demonstrates is how amazing the system is. You have a folder. You have a bundle, which is a piece of paper. You have blank pieces of paper inside. And just like that, you have an everlasting journal. It's the last journal you'll ever need. You can not only tear pages out without never causing a problem, you can also take out segments and put them somewhere else. In fact, here we go. Right over here, right on my bookshelf, I have a couple of other bundles. There's my quarterly ticker, annular ticker. See, I don't need these that often, and so they just sit right over here. I might eventually make a storage one that they would sit inside there. So it's a fully modular journal. And then from there, the sky is the limit so far as your ability to customize it unto your needs. But if you care about getting things done, I'll tell you, this beauty right here, oh my. Took a vacation recently, was gone for a week. Normally when I'm on vacation, I come back and I'm kind of nervous about what I forgot, what I need to do, how to get things back up to speed. And you're looking at least probably, what, 3 hours, 4 hours of just figuring out where you were? Hour and 15 minutes, baby. It was all there like I'd never left. It is a work of beauty. But again, the key is to find the substance, the center that gets you started trying this thing out. And then from there, well, eventually we hope to develop a little bit of a community that helps each other find all the various little knickknacks and positive ways to make this thing work better. Real fast, just so you know, Brian's is awesome that he has these flap covers that go in. If I had that, my blanks, my projects, my monthly tickler would all be inside an inner flap. That way I wouldn't see them all the time. And then I'd have these guys right on top. I don't know if I'd use that other flap as much yet, but that's a really cool idea if you can make a longer one. And again, one of our goals is to eventually make an official one that's pretty awesome all the way around. I'd love to see a pocket on the front for my phone to go in or something cool like that. But you don't need that. You can start now. You can revolutionize the way you keep track of everything in your life that doesn't have to be digitalized. How you make those things communicate is another story. It can work though, but you can revolutionize the way you manage your day in, day out with the marvelous little Everbook, right? We're going to keep doing these videos and chat with each other and trying to help you understand where we're coming from and make that step toward creating, doing more good, all that good stuff. Yeah. All right. We'll catch you guys on the flip.